Welcome to the For Real Though Show, the podcast with the purpose for the people. I am your host, Christopher Keith, and as always, we are brought to you by Queso What? Speaking of Queso What, before we get started with this week's I Got a Story to Tell, there is a pop-up this weekend in St. Louis County. That's right, there is a new pop-up this weekend. You can go get these quesos. They are definitely the best in the Midwest, without a doubt. They might mess around and be the best in the U.S. I haven't eaten everybody's quesos in the U.S., but I'm just saying these are these are badass quesos. And I was in St. Louis not too long ago to see my granddaughter graduate high school. So as per custom, I got quite a few that I just took home. She was nice enough to freeze them for me, able to get them home so I could pop them out when it ain't too much to eat around the house. You know what I'm saying? Game night. You know what I'm saying? These quesos are perfect for, you can freeze them if you don't want to cook. Always on point. Put them in the air fryer. Chef's kiss. So there is there's a pop up this weekend. On let's see, today is Wednesday the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. So on Saturday the 8th, they have a pop up, and I'm going to share with you some good news regarding Queso What before we get to our story for the day. Check it out, y'all. I'm showing you the menu. And we got some new items here. So before we get to them new items, you already know. You already know about this queso C. Yeah, I got about three of them. Salmon and shrimp, sauteed spinach, all that good. That's really good. You know about the buffalo. You know about the Caribbean. Is it Caribbean or Caribbean? Oh, is it? Yeah, Caribbean, I think. I think it's Caribbean. Pronounce it the way you like. You know what I'm saying? It just depends on what side of town you're from. The jerk. So the Caribbean got the oxtails in it. Chef's kiss again. You got the jerk if you're in the jerk. The queso burger's really good. The chick sampler. Oh, check this out. There's some new stuff. You can get the sampler, right? Check this out. Choose up to three of your favorites. You get them for a discounted price. But here's the surprise. Some new stuff. So let's check this out. Queso B Birria. I'm thinking that's Birria. Okay. Slow trim beef with chilies and spices. Three cheese blends of queso, mozzarella, asadero. I guess that's a cheese. Mild cheddar and pepper jack. Oh, that might be five cheeses. Let me get my reading glasses together. Five cheeses up in this piece. Queso chicken bacon ranch. Queso shrimp fajita. Look at that. Succulent shrimp sauteed with fajita peppers. Five cheese blends of, what is this? Queso, asadero. Never heard of asadero cheese. I have to tell you that. Mozzarella, pepper jack, and mild cheddar. Hey, as you can see, all going down here. See that? You can scan the barcode there and place your order, or you can just call Shantae at 314-341-7734. Get you some of these quesos. Again, you ain't going to be sorry. I promise you. I promise you. Not only are they a sponsor of this show, I am an investor in this company. So this is something that I really believe in. And this is going to be a full-time venture before the end of the year. So, hey man, get them so you can say that you was on the train early on. You know what I'm saying? You was on the train early on. So yeah, go out and support Queso What. It's a great company, great people behind it. Tammy Tuggle, shout out. It's a whole lot of great people who've been a part of this. So, all right. So what's been going on with y'all, man? I hope your holiday weekend was good. Uh Anything happened in the news lately I need to know about? Y'all want to talk about? Um, let's see. I guess recently there was a 34 felony conviction. Yeah, you know about that. And let's see. And the Stephen A thing with Monica McNutt. Did you guys hear about that? Stephen A, who I really don't mess with, to be honest with you. I stopped messing with him a long time ago. Like I stopped messing with Bill Maher. Uh, sometimes, man, people just get they get some success, and I admire, the work ethic and stuff like that it takes to be a successful, media person or successful in whatever venture you're in. But sometimes, man, with that success comes a level of hubris. And if you're not able to keep your own hubris down, when everybody, all on you telling you how great you are, and then you get the money and all these, catchies and stuff that makes you think that you're better than you are, or that you're more important, or that you're better than. Even the Bible has scripture that says not to think more highly than you ought to think, which means that you should think highly of yourself. You should think highly of yourself. But the difference between thinking highly of yourself and getting out of pocket is when you think you're better than someone else. And that's what I see when I see Stephen A. So when he had this conversation about the WNBA and Caitlin Clark and all of this kind of stuff, Monica McNutt checked him by saying, "Hey man, with your platform, you could have been talking about this 3 years ago." Why he's sitting there saying, "Well, how many people talk about women's sports more than First Take?" And then he's got this way of always talking about he don't give a damn about what other people think, right? Got on Sean Hannity, right? I don't give a damn what people think. I'm gonna say what I say, and this, that, and the other. Yet you really do give a damn because you're always justifying the shit, right? So after that video came out when he was with Sean Hannity talking about black people relate to Trump because Trump got charges, then he turned around and flipped the script and then say he was misconstrued. They used his words wrong. No, 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 player. You said what you said. Now man up to it. Stand on your 10 toes. You know what I'm saying? He's always vacillating, trying to please white folks and try to be street cred worthy at the same time. And the shit just don't work out. You can't be, you just doing a Van Jones, except you got a bigger platform. You know what I'm saying? So this particular case, Monica McNutt checked him about, coverage of women's sports. And she told him, she said, "Hey man, with your platform, you could have been doing this 4 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it was." And so he had this look on his face that was just, look it up. If you ain't seen it, look it up. But he's like, wow, wow, which really means he lost the argument. You know what I'm saying? Because he has shit else to say. But wow, wow is not a response. You know what I'm saying? And so again, he'll be the first to tell you, I don't give a damn. I'm Stephen A. Smith. I don't give a damn what people say about me or what my opinion is. My opinion is my opinion, and I stand by it. But then, of course, he gets on his own podcast and start talking shit about Monica McNutt and other female journalists about, how he put them on. You know what I'm saying? Like he put them on. If it wasn't for me, they wouldn't be on TV. He's so pitiful, man. Like, I don't even listen to him. I don't even listen to him on the NBA countdown or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like the pregame show, the halftime. He just has no credibility. He used to be a good columnist, one of the few black columnists that we had in this country. But he's no fucking Ralph Wiley, and I tell you that. Whenever he gets through with it, he's no fucking Ralph Wiley. At the end of the day, he's a corporate guy. He wants to remain viable, and he knows where his butter is bread. His butter is bread with white folks. And another thing that really cracks me up, I'm on a tangent now before I get to the story, is you got like Pat McAfee saying Caitlin Clark is a white bitch. It's cool. He come out with a bullshit ass apology. They don't, ESPN don't care. But ESPN back in the day when Jemele Hill, Michael Smith, Kevin Holly, and all them other people was on there, he was like, it was a policy that you couldn't have no ESPN on ESPN crime. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't talk about your work partners in a derogatory fashion in public, right? On media. And so Stephen A, because of his platform, like she said, he's able to just disregard all of that and do a whole show on his fucking platform about how Monica McNutt and other female journalists wouldn't be shit unless he put them on. See what I'm saying? So, I mean, the whole thing it's really just all about, whenever you get through with it, racism is a hell of a drug. And when it was black folks talking about George Floyd or the orange man doing his dirt. They didn't want nobody talking about politics. Now, they didn't want nobody doing the company on company crime and assault and whatnot verbally. Now it's just a free fall for whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because the sensibilities have changed, the targets have changed. So you call Caitlin Clark a white bitch, and because your audience is big enough, that's fine. You could talk about Monica McNutt, but because they paying you the most money at anybody at ESPN, you can get away with it. Just all hypocrisy, And again, I'm not mad, at the overall success, but at the same time, everybody that show skin folk ain't your kinfolk. Stephen A is not my kinfolk. I have no respect for him, no respect whatsoever. He think he all that a bag of chips in a 40 ounce, and he's not. But he does understand this. As long as he keep doing that shit, talking that shit about how, Trump is a victim and that that black folks relate to him because he's in the system, then he know he gonna have a job forever. Those bosses at ESPN are not at all upset about that. So clap, 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 bitch ass, punk ass, Stephen A. That's all I got to say about that. All right, moving on. Moving on. Something happened last week that kind of cracked me up, and this was I don't know if you heard this. It kind of came in and out the news kind of quickly, but Pope Francis. Pope Francis, I'm not Catholic by the way, but Pope Francis was he's always been an interesting kind of cat because he's not as conservative as John Paul was, the second or the third or whatever the hell he was, but he wasn't he's not as conservative. He's a little more laid back, you know what I mean? A little more fan friendly, if you will. And when it came to like the situation of gays and stuff like that, he would be like, hey, who am I to judge? Who am I to judge? You know? So he's like, hey, anybody can get this sacrament. You know what I'm saying? If you're a believer or whatnot, you get this sacrament. But he was having a meeting with the bishops, uh, I guess at the Vatican or whatever, wherever they do it. And the subject of priests, gay priests, them having gay priests came up. And he was like, no, 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 we ain't gonna do that. Uh, but then he made a comment. Let me see if I can find this comment real quick. Oh, okay. I don't speak Italian, but I'm just gonna try. So understand, I wasn't in the meeting. Reporters were not in the meeting, so you don't have a solid quote to this. You have basically one of these bishops or one of these cardinals went and told the press, right? That's basically what happened. So they got this closed door meeting. They ain't got no cell phones, and you know what I'm saying, they ain't recording nothing like that. But uh, they're there, right? And he talking, and they're like, "No, we ain't ready for no gay priest." And then he says to me, which has to be in tongue in cheek, could be true 100%, but it seemed like to me it was tongue in cheek, where he goes, there's already an air of, let me see if I can pronounce this right. Frakiaj, Frokiajanani, Frodaggine, Frodogaji, Frodo, Frodoji, Frodoji. Yeah, I'm looking at this, trying to figure out Frogiani. Anyway, it's slang. It's like an Italian slang for another F word that Americans use that rhymes with gagget. So basically what he was saying was, at least in the context that has been reported, he's like, hey man, it's already too many faggots up in here in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Like there's already a lot of faggotism going on around here. You know what I'm saying? So which again I thought was just, it's just funny to me mostly because I've always said, and you guys know this about me if you've been watching, anybody can get it. Right? I don't care who you are, anybody can get it. Black folks get it, white folks get it, country, Western, it don't really matter. Mexicans, like, we're all human beings. Uh, we all gotta laugh and joke. And sometimes, even in the midst of joking about, serious issues, it doesn't mean we can't laugh at ourselves. So we should always be able to laugh at ourselves. And when you can't laugh at yourself, or when you can't, then I don't care, Jewish, I don't care. If you can't laugh at yourself, then you're just a little too wound up type. You need to get the stick out your ass. That's how I feel about it. That's just the way it is because everything ain't that serious all the time. So I feel like, hey, with Pope Francis, if you're a Catholic and you gay, you pretty much winning compared to where you was before. And like everything else, it's a struggle. It takes time. That's a religion. So that's a whole nother thing. We're not even talking about policy, structural policy, geopolitics, or nothing like that. We ain't talking about you not being able to vote. We just talking about priesthood. So again, I'm all off the track now, but again, I just thought it was funny. And some people like in a LGBT, as Dave Chappelle would say, the alphabet community, which again, y'all know me, I'm for. I totally for. But I don't pander. You know what I'm saying? I don't pander. I want y'all to have your rights. I want you to have everything that's coming to you that you should have as a human being. But you can still get them jokes. You still be fucking up sometimes, and sometimes you still be wrong. And you're still human. So it's okay. And I thought the fact that he was like that he said this shit was just funny to me, you know. And the fact that somebody had to go tell it is really telling. That's really telling. Uh Maybe it was Fracasgiani. Is how you pronounce it. That went and told it, but they went and told it. So anyway, let's get back to the lecture at hand, as uh as Dr. Trey would say. And let's talk about this week's story. All right. So so the story is this. We're gonna talk about the time I won the fight, I won the race, and still ended up tied. Okay. All right. So let's get to it. All right. So uh up until 1975, I lived in either St. Louis, Missouri, or East St. Louis, Illinois. And in 75, I guess I was in the third grade when my mom got remarried, moved to South Bend, Indiana. And prior to that, I had just been around all pretty much 99% Black people, right? In East St. Louis, I was going to Lily Freeman Elementary School. Um, we lived right across the street from it in this projects. We used to call it the Hole because it's set kind of set underground, if you will. And so, I went from, hey, all my teachers are Black, all my friends are Black, my whole community is Black. So we moved to South Bend, Indiana, and there's like I go to school, there's like this diverse population, So now we got Black kids, but we also got white kids, and we got a whole lot of Mexican kids too. And one thing about me is I was cool with like the community of people and stuff like that. Change was not something that, you know, on the outside I didn't have a hard time with, but on the inside I did, especially with school. So every time we would move, man, I would always get bad grades the first quarter of school. And that's because I didn't realize it then, but that's because I just had a hard time with the environment, the new kids, the new teachers, the new routine, the hallways, the classroom, the lunches, the culture, everything was just different. And I always had a hard time catching up. So I always just had really crappy grades first quarter. I used to always get in trouble for it, get a spanking for it or whatever. Uh, and then, eventually once I got caught on, I would start doing a lot better. So same thing happened, when we moved to Indiana. Uh, but there was another element too. And that element was culture in that because again, I came from East St. Louis, Illinois, going to South Bend, Indiana. Now you got these different kids. You also got different speech. You got different ways of doing and saying things that again I never knew existed. Like say for instance, they call soda pop. Okay. Not just in South Bend, it's a Chicago thing, they call it pop. If you go down to the South, they call it a Coke. Everything's a Coke. Not just a Coke brand, it's anything that's a soda is a Coke. But I didn't know this, so they would talk about a pop and stuff, and I never knew what they was talking about. As a matter of fact, I remember my third grade teacher telling a joke, and he was like, why did the boy put ice under his father's bed? Why did the kid put ice under his father's bed? Because he wanted a cold pop. And I remember all the kids laughing and shit. And I was like, a cold pop. Like, what's funny about that? So, because I understood pop to be your father, right? So I got that part, but I didn't understand that pop to them is a soda, you know, a Coke, a Sprite, a Fanta, or whatever. So, you know, with that also comes is a change of like vernacular. So they would say that I had an accent. I came, you know, I come from East St. Louis. So you talk country. And of course, I'm like, don't get me wrong. St. Louis, East St. Louis people, we are country. We do talk country. We do have an accent. We are country. But I'm saying to myself, well, I'm saying to them too, shit, y'all motherfucking ass sound country to me. You know what I'm saying? The way they would say their words. Uh, and you know, again, using stuff like pop as opposed to soda. They don't even say pop on the can, they say soda. You know what I'm saying? So, or you know, in East St. Louis, we'd be like, soda. Give me a soda. Give me that orange soda. You know what I'm saying? They know what you're talking about. But even if I wanted to be proper, it was soda, you know, cool, but it wasn't no damn pop, you know, but cool. So again, you know, with all of that as a kid, you know, you just kind of stick out, right? You stick out. My particular school at that time was a K through 8 school. So I get there in the third grade, uh, and immediately, you know, people is talking about me, talking shit, you know, about the way I talk, the way I dress, you know, and all this other kind of stuff. You know, we certainly didn't have a lot of money or anything like that. So, and I don't think I was really good at matching my clothes. I didn't really trip off this stuff back then, man. You know, hey, clothes old, clothes fit, we good to go, you know. So I wasn't in the style and matching and shit like that, you know. I color coordinate now, but back then I really wasn't into it. But you know, but again, I got picked on a lot. Let's just say that I got picked on a lot for kind of being different. I wasn't a tough guy or anything like that. Uh, so that's the setting. Okay, that's the basic setting. Okay, so now we're gonna fast forward a couple years. I'm dealing with these particular cats. You know what I'm saying? It's not as bad once you get to middle school, but you know, because middle school nowadays, if you go somewhere where it's sixth, seventh, and eighth grade, I mean, it's horrible because of the transition of getting out of one school, going to another building, then you kind of combine with other kids that came from other buildings as well. And then these kids kind of think they're grown. So, like middle school, you can ask any teacher that's in middle school, man, especially if you got a sixth, seventh, and eighth grade or seventh, eighth, and ninth grade middle school. I mean, those kids are horrible. You know what I'm saying? Their behavior is just off the chain. Their attitudes are off the chain because they think they're grown and they think they're on the top of the food chain because they are in that environment. So you know, the competition level socially is just off the charts. Well, my school was K through 8, so it was a little bit better than that because if you managed to stay around, then the same teachers you saw, you know, in second, third, fourth, fifth grade, you were going to see them in seventh, eighth grade, right before, you know, you went on to high school. In South Bend, you went to high school in the ninth grade. In East St. Louis, you went to high school in the 10th grade. Everything else before that, you know, was middle school. So anyway, we're gonna fast forward to I'm pretty sure it was sixth grade, because we were changing classes, but we were still at this point where we would go to the bathroom, you know, as a group, right? We go to the bathroom as a group, and we have to get out to the classroom. I don't know if they still do this now, but back in that day, we had to get out the classroom. You get in line, and you all kind of line up behind each other. You go in there and do your business or whatever, and then you come on out. So this guy named Keenan Dokes walks up to me in the bathroom, and he's like, "Hey man, what you say about my mama?" Now, mind you, I ain't say shit about his mama, right? But you know, he just want to start some shit. So man, I ain't say nothing about your mama. So, you know, he said something smart. We're gonna see after school. It's like, damn. So he went on about his business, you know, and then this other dude walked up to me and said something to me about what I say about Keenan's mama. This dude is Brian Kirkendall. Now, before I go on, let me explain this to you. Brian Kirkendall, the name Kirkendall in South Bend rings out, okay? Because there's a bazillion of them. It's a bazillion of them, okay? Uh, whole lot of Kirkendalls in South Bend. And so, you know, that name rang out, like I said. and he's got like a bazillion brothers and sisters and this, that, and the other. So he walks up to me, right? What you say about my mom? Was this a thing? This a thing? I ain't saying nothing about your mom. We're gonna see after school. Like, man, go on somewhere with that. That's probably what I said, thinking back. Because I didn't really straight challenge him, but I was like, man, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, where's this bullshit coming from? You know what I'm saying? I wasn't a violent type of cat. I wasn't a likes to fight guy, nothing like that. But this cat's just walking up on me and stuff. Same day. All right. So then Brian says, we gonna see after school. We gonna see after school. So I'm like, oh shit, now I gotta fight this. Now, mind you, again, I don't like to fight. Not that kind of guy. I never was a tough guy. Never planned to be a tough guy. I am, on the other hand, a bit of a crazy guy, meaning that if I get taken there, then I kind of get spaced out of my mind. We'll get to that later. So, again, I didn't have my own crew. Just had my own set of friends. And my own set of friends we were all outside of the popular norm, if you will, right? We weren't the in crowd. But one of the cats that was my friends was a guy by the name of Ivell Jennings. Now, to understand Ivell Jennings, you got to understand his pedigree, okay? The Jennings name also rang out in South Bend back in the 70s and early 80s for all the wrong reasons. Ivell's, first of all, what was funny about his family was his immediate family, all of their names started with I. So he had a sister named Elise. He had a brother named Keith, right? And so everything was I before. His name was Ivell. And my stepfather at the time, the raggedy son of a bitch that he was, uh, he was a cop and he used to work at this club called Kevin's. Kevin's was the only black club in South Bend. So he would come home, and then the next day, would talk about how them Jennings boys were shooting up the place and fighting and stuff like that. So he hated that Ivell Jennings was my friend. Like he hated it. But Ivell we was cool, you know what I'm saying? But he was like, I hate around the Jennings boys. Another layer to that is the most famous of all the Jennings boys wasn't Ivell's brother, it was his cousin. His cousin was named Joseph Jennings. Joseph Jennings was a gangster, like a straight gangster in LA. He was a pimp, all the whole nine, right? Drug dealer, the whole nine. I met Joseph Jennings when I was a kid. He was in South Bend at the time before he moved to LA, and he had this red pickup truck, candy apple red, that was really fresh. Big tires in the back. Matter of fact, it had double tires in the back. You know what I'm saying? So it was a big old pickup, muscle card out. And on each side of the back wheels, it was two tires there. Two tires here, two tires. It was cold, right? And they used to call him Cambooey. He had this perfect afro, light skin, fro, beard, mustache, thick. I mean, like a light skinned shaft. That's what he looked like. You know what I'm saying? And they called him Cambooey. That was his street name. And so I met him when I was a kid. And then later on, when I moved back to St. Louis, when I was actually, when I was an adult for real, he became a preacher. Joseph was shot like 13 times. And when he died, he still had like 7 bullets in his body. And when he became a Christian, it was like he was shot about like 6 times. He was laying in the gutter. And if I recall, he said, Lord, if you don't let me die in the gutter, I'll serve you. And so, he didn't die. And he used to come to my church in St. Louis and talk about how he smoked weed and read the Bible. You know what I'm saying? And he was really a great preacher. He was a great person. I got to speak with him. And as an adult, and he remembered Ivell and the whole nine, so that was really cool. So small world. Okay. But one thing about Ivell, again, we was cool, but Ivell likes to fight God. So he did get that from his brothers. Again, I'm the total opposite, but opposites attract. So he liked my personality and I liked his. But Ivell was like literally like he really likes to fight. Matter of fact, one time Ivell beat this dude up named Patrick in front of the principal's office, right? So, why did he beat Patrick up? Patrick was a hippie. He was in the I think Patrick was in the eighth grade at the time. We was in the seventh grade, and Patrick was selling weed. So he got caught selling weed at school, and Ivell felt like he was wrong for that. So he beating his ass in front of the principal's office for selling weed, and he's laughing about it. So he's like, "Wop, wop," and Patrick's trying to run away, and he's steady chasing him. Wop, I mean, he's laughing. He's like, "Don't be selling no more drugs in the school." Yeah, can you imagine that? This was really wild. But we came from that Fat Albert generation. Dope is for dope, junk is for junkies, right? So he wanted to fight, but he had this righteous indignation about it. So back to the lecture at hand again. Ivell decides, well, you gonna fight him. You gonna fight Brian Kirkendall. You could beat his ass, Chris. You could beat his ass. I promise you could beat his ass. So I'm like, all right, man, I really don't want to do this. I'm trying to think of a way to get out of it. Brian gets in trouble. He gets detention that day. So he has to stay in class for 15 minutes after school. I think we got out like 3:45 at the time or whatever. And he had to stay in class till 4 o'clock. So I'm like, okay, I can just walk home now. No, no, no. Ivell was like, no, Chris, we gonna settle this shit right now. By we, he means me. So I'm trying to go home, man. It's about, I swear, man, it's about 2.5 foot of snow outside. One thing about South Bend, man, is the winters are like Chicago, man. They're like crazy insane. So it's cold outside. I'm sitting outside in front of the building on the side door by the cafeteria. And we just sitting there waiting for this 15 minutes, which probably seemed like an hour and a half to me because I did not want to fight this dude. But I felt like making me, man. It's like the ultimate peer pressure. No, man, Chris, you gotta stay, man. You gotta beat his ass. Chris, you gonna beat his ass. Teach these niggas some lessons once and for all. Okay, okay, okay. So I stand there. Brian comes outside, 4 o'clock. He sees me. He go, oh, like I couldn't tell whether he had the surprise look on his face or not. But he got this crowd around him now because everybody like it's finna be a fight. So you know how it is, in school, it's gonna be a fight. Everybody gathering around. So there's a few people gathered around and everything. And so Brian walks up to me and he's like, so what you gonna do now? So he starts pushing, not fighting back, just going backwards, just going back, just pushing. What you gonna do now? You gonna kick my ass now? What you gonna do now? You gonna talk that shit now? This, that, and the other. And so finally, man, he pushes me, and then he pushed me up against the garbage dumpster. So the garbage dumpster is like, man, I don't know if y'all ever went up on a garbage dumpster at a school, but it's like the most gnarliest, nastiest shit ever, right? So I looked on my coat and I got like this milk residue on it, from that sour milk, and bread was kind of crushed up into the fabric, right? And it's on my coat. So then that crazy part I was talking to you about, that just came out. So I just got to swinging. I mean, I lost my mind. And I just started swinging, hitting this dude over and over and over and over again. And I was screaming. I was yelling at him, calling them names. And I don't remember what all I said except for one thing. I remember I called him a bucky tooth beaver. Now, why I called him a bucky tooth beaver, I don't know. He did kind of have, the little teeth I heard kind of went down a little further. So I was like, I mean, he was a very attractive guy. He was very popular. The girls loved him, but he had the little two teeth going down a little too far. You know what I'm saying? And if you from East St. Louis, you used to cap it. You know what I'm saying? We joned on each other. That's what we do. That was a way of survival. You know what I'm saying? That's why Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't know what time it was when she came at Jasmine Crockett, and Jasmine hit her with the beach blonde, bad built butch body shit that they made songs because she didn't know. You don't understand. We do this shit for sport, player. Like, we grew up like we flip these shits out like Uno cards. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just is what it is. You don't want to fuck with us on that tip, right? So, but anyway, so I'm hitting him, call a Bucky Tooth Beaver, woo, 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 woo. And then all of a sudden, bam, I got the one good shot, the knockout blow, right there to his left eye. He hits the ground. I don't pounce on him, because again, I'm not a violent cat. You know what I'm saying? Even at that age, I wasn't a violent dude, and and I think when he fell down, I'm thinking maybe this would be over. So he gets up though. He gets up and he goes, I'm really finna kick your ass now. I'm really finna kick your ass now. And he goes, wait a minute. So he starts grabbing his eye. So his eye starts swelling up. And I'm like, man, I'm getting scared because I ain't never seen a brother's eye just start swelling up like that. So I'm like, damn. So then more people are coming around because obviously, school is out, only been out 15 minutes. Some people like to hang out anyway, right? Some other people might have been in attention, but we had a big schoolyard. So all of a sudden, all these people gathered. Then comes the patrol boys. If you don't know what a patrol boy is, I know it's 2024. So much revisionist history. A patrol boy was one. I wonder if they still have them now. But a patrol boy is one who's he's like a kid cop, if you will. So he'd wear the little vest with the little belt on it that said patrol boy, and he would kind of navigate traffic to help kids get across the street and that sort of thing. And then if you did something wrong, then they would tell them. They tell them. So patrol boys come by, a couple of them come by, and they like, what's going on? And then these girls, because again, Brian was a popular dude, popular with the ladies, too. These girls was like, Chris hit him. He didn't even do nothing to him. You know what I'm saying? So now they saying like, I just jumped this dude. Like, they just said it like I attacked this dude out of nowhere, right? So they get ready to try to take me to the office. Meanwhile, though, all of Brian's boys start gathering. Keenan Dokes, Wayne Dotson, for instance, right? These cats start gathering around like they finna jump in the fray because their boy is down. So Ivell, who likes to fight guy, he looks at me and he goes, Chris. I said, what? He said, run! So your boy did not hesitate. I took off. And I'm running, scared out of my life, running like a motherfucker. I ran all the way to 736 South Liberty, South Bend, Indiana, 46619. Ran all the way there, man, blocks and blocks in snow, in heavy, heavy snow. So, of course, I had to tell my mama what happened, scared I was going to get in trouble at school the next day. What's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. My mama making Muhammad Ali jokes and stuff like it's funny. I don't think it's funny because I got to go deal with this shit tomorrow at school. So, go to school in the morning, first thing, Chris, go to the principal's office. Go to the principal's office. Who's sitting there? Brian Kirkendall. So we sitting next to each other. And this is where the middle school geopolitics comes into play. Brian looks at me. And I ain't really saying nothing to him, because I'm still not likes to fight guy. I'm not really proud of the fact that, I beat this dude up. I got the best of him or whatever. I ain't proud of it because I'm a peaceful kid. I was just a very peaceful kid. So, a matter of fact, I felt bad that I hurt him. Right? I really did. But so he's like, so what we gonna do about this? The shit was real gangster. I was like, what we gonna do about what? This fight. I'm like, I don't know. What you want to do? He said, well, I can't lose. So we're gonna have to tell them it's a tie. So we're just gonna tell the school it's a tie. And I won't bother you. I looked at him. This sound good to me, man. We shook on it. Bam. Told the principal we were sorry, it wasn't gonna happen again, and got up out of there. And the word around the school was it was a tie. Now, and he didn't bother me no more. Now, if you was there, or if you heard somebody told you who was there, they told you the real deal. But did I want to fight Brian Kirkendall again, and Keenan Dokes, and Dwayne Dotson, and Steve Richmond, and Percy Reed, and all his boys? Did I want to do that? No way, Jose. All I wanted to do was take care of my schoolwork, stay out of the way, and try to figure out a way to convince Leticia Hernandez to like me. That was my agenda in the 6th grade. That was it. So that was the story of how I won the fight, the race, and still ended up tied. By the way, his boys did come up to me the next day, and they were like, yeah, Chris, we was gonna kick your ass. Except you was running so fast, man. All we saw was snow flying up and shit behind your head. And of course, man, you gotta laugh. You gotta laugh. So I laughed about it, man, but uh I still had to fuck with Percy and Steve here and there. But I ain't had to mess with Brian no more. I tried to find Brian on Facebook incidentally and thought that I found his name and stuff, but it's actually his brother that I ended up finding who has the same name, Brian Kirkendall, spelled the same and everything. Although Brian's name might have been spelled with a B-R-Y, and I might have to look that up. But anyway, man, I hope all is well with Brian. Uh, I talked to Percy a few years ago. I found him and Steve Richmond. They're still best friends. They was like in this little gang, man, for real, man. But they still the best friends to this day, man. And unfortunately, my boy Ivel is no longer with us. He was actually killed shortly after I moved back to East St. Louis, which is really, really sad to me because I really think part of that was because I wasn't there anymore. He didn't really have no cool people to hang with. So he actually started hanging with the element, you know what I'm saying? The element that was, out here in them streets. I won't mention no names, I'll leave it at that. But anyway, so that's the story, man. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for kicking it with me. We'll have another story for you next week. Stay safe, like, subscribe, and all that. Review and leave your comments. I appreciate you. Stay safe for real, though.